Chapter 54.
This is the Midpoint Hotel all over again,
Sully lamented.
Don't think of it like that.
Mr. Blue smiled back absently. Then the Time Lord considered what the retired Commodore said.
All right, I suppose it is exactly like that. Yet, look at it positive. At least this place isn't exploding all around us like the Midpoint. Oh, you say that now.
What's the Midpoint? Pilot Samran asked.
100 years ago, love. Before your time,
Sully said. How old are you? Sully laughed broadly and deeply as he lit a cigarette and tried to explain how he was around a century earlier, yet only looked 60 or so. Gentlemen, if I may be so bold as to ask why the Silver Rapid Collective you have here has turned into floating plates. So, you're a time traveler? Navigator Denry sputtered sarcastically. Sully winked, exhaling a blue plum of smoke.
I don't buy it. He's raucous, Mr. Blue corrected, and due to the fact that the pit here is several kilometers or miles or whatever you humans call them, deep, instead of taking eons on the stairs or the handicap ramp, Raucous is going to levitate us all down.
12 silver discs floated obligingly in front of the Time Lord, Sully, and the others, one for each foot.
All aboard!
Mr. Blue stepped up. This is like our anti-gravity training. Dr. Jones intuitively glided around on the silver, shiny metallic platforms. The captain floundered slightly on his. I don't have to take that course. Paying for it now. Mr. Blue activated a feature on his watch. The group of them levitating over the safety railing. Sully joined in the audible gasp of terror and sheer wonder of the size of this Gold Rapids factory.
Ever hear the song Love in an Elevator by Aerosmith?
The Time Lord asked.
This isn't an elevator.
Sully peered downward, reluctantly. In nervous, Navigator Denry agreed. Yeah, this isn't even close to an elevator. This is badass. Pilot Samran did a flip in the air, her long hair landing on her face.
Shall we? Everyone wearing their safety harnesses?
Mr. Blue asked the group. He didn't wait for the obvious answer, no, because they don't exist. He simply fiddled with his temporal wrist device, and the group began to plummet quickly. All felt their stomach turn over as they dove through the gigantic, mighty golden weaponry. I'm not understanding how a sophisticated robotic system like the Gold Rapids can only have one line of code. Dr. Jones's voice echoed as they fell. Mr. Blue was typing on his watch.
Has to do with the temporal field. All them are linked to the central control grid, the brain, the hive mind. Does all the thinking so the drones don't have to.
He thought of something and shouted to no one.
What have you gathered about the oncoming attack, Raucous?
From beneath the six in the group, a resonating voice blasted from the silver plates.
My being is composed of billions of individuals. The Gold Rapids are exactly the same in structure, except that they haven't formed yet.
The captain stared down between his legs. I beg to differ. These gold soldiers outside appear complete and ready to strike.
Negatory,
Raucous answered.
They have not formed into one complete cohesive individual, such as I can. They are awaiting a proper power supply to...
Hold on a sec. Navigator Denry interrupted. You're saying that when those soldiers outside all become activated, they're going to join together?
Correct.
Become one big, mammoth, scary, Gold Rapid monster?
Correct.
Raucous replied through vibrations in the shiny metal discs. Pilot Samran, mouth gaping, peered around. Well, that explains all the big-ass swords and axes and shields and what have you. The Time Lord in the cobalt suit appeared to be ignoring everyone, absorbed in the readings from his temporal wrist computer. Sully tried and failed to light a cigarette as they all sped toward the bottom of an immense pit.
Okay, all right. So the army outside is going to, what, join together and become a giant? With enormous medieval weapons? Correct.
Navigator Denry shook his head. Yeah, that's what all the silver frisbees are telling us.
What, like Voltron?
The captain muttered to his wife.
What the hell is a Voltron?
She shrugged. Mr. Blue, having successfully dodged the retired Commodore's annoying question, slowed the group's descent as they neared the bottom.
And we're back. Or we're here. Whatever the case may be.
Dr. Jones dismounted with the captain's polite aid, followed by Navigator Denring and Pilot Samran. Sully relit his previously failed cigarette and stared as Ruckus morphed from a dozen metal discs into a shiny silver humanoid form. The Time Lord was already bounding ahead into a cavern, the only available option at the bottom of the gigantic weapon factory.
Do hope the Bizarre Man has a plan,
the captain whispered.
I do!
Mr. Blue shouted from far, far ahead of them. Dr. Jones looked astonished and whispered back,
There's no possible way he heard. I can hear everything! Time Lord!
He was studying some ancient, glowing glyphs embedded in the rock face. The group caught up to him.
This is the ancient machine language of the Silver Rapids. Ruckus, do you recognize this? Can you translate? Buzz isn't here.
Who's Purge? Samran asked. Mr. Blue ignored her and stared at Ruckus. The silver humanoid examined the glyphs, concluding,
This is a world engine, the first of its kind, created by my race 600,000 years ago. It is how we initially traveled the cosmos. You perceive us as microscopic. We perceive ourselves as normal size. This ship, this emptied-out, hollowed-out dwarf planet was our home. Our entire civilization was here.
The Time Lord nodded. He stroked his platinum goatee. Ruckus continued.
They turned our first home and our first hope into an immense battleship. The world engine set to destroy. Can it be stopped?
Mr. Blue urged.
It has not been activated yet.
Mr. Blue tilted his head, confused.
Okay, so we have a line of code for this Golden Army. They've sent the first attack. That was a scouting party.
Ruckus interrupted as he interpreted the glyphs.
Sent to gather information. The first attack actually has not been commenced yet. The instructions are here. These are brand new glyphs.
So what the bloody hell are they waiting for?
Sully asked. Ruckus studied the hieroglyphics.
A power supply.
Such as?
The captain seemed concerned.
This world engine requires a High Lord to power it.
Mr. Blue nodded.
Quite.
A High Lord? High Lord of what? Samran asked.
Me. It needs me. Probably needs Ultron energy. Explains the dampening time field in here.
I don't understand.
I'm a High Lord of Gallifrey, also known as a Time Lord. This world engine needs me to activate it.
There was a thick, tense quiet, which pervaded the group as they stood on the outskirts of the cavern. Anomalous, as the cave interior was lit by an amazingly powerful light of an unknown and advanced technology, yet still remained damp and warm, smelling faintly of petrichor.
So, why doesn't she just power the thing herself?
Sully asked.
Who?
The retired Commodore smiled sadly.
Ruckus, show us a line-up of the code vertically. Right there.
Sully stood beside it, pointing to the letters.
Look at what it says, old man. Dominate, Earth, control every individual that in. Spells out to sea. Like the crazy time bitches, don't you, traveller?
Mr. Blue nodded slowly.
Don't know how I missed that. But it doesn't matter. The site has been taken care of.
No offense, but look around, man,
the captain shouted.
Does this look taken care of to you? Aye, is right.
Sully took a long drag.
You left her on Frem. We never saw her again. No guarantee that she didn't live or make it somehow.
The Time Lord adjusted his azure tie and lightly punched himself in the forehead a couple of times.
I should have listened to Saber.
That's what she said.
Excuse me?
Sully put up his hands.
No, that is literally what she said. She said, quote, He should have listened to me. End quote.
Guys? Navigator Denry tried to get the attention of the bickering old man and the weirdo in the blue suit. You may want to take a look at this. Around 100 of the golden soldiers suddenly appeared and were flooding around them. They were surrounded on all sides. Again, Sully thought, surrounded again. Except that this time, these gold rapids didn't appear passive. Not at all. It happened so quickly that none of the group could move much or even had time to shout. The gold soldiers with searing crimson eyes conglomerated on Mr. Blue, picking him up and carrying the helpless Time Lord down the tunnel away from the others, having found the Artron battery they needed to start the world engine.